Hey there, I'm Eva Rupert with Overland Expo, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about packing for adventure motorcycle travel. There is nothing better than packing your camping gear onto your bike and hitting the road for days or weeks at a time. When you start packing for adventure motorcycling, you want to think backpacking rather than car camping. It's not about what you can fit into your luggage, it's about what you need, and paring your needs down to the bare minimum is going to make your load lighter and your ride smoother. Let me show you a few things that I always take with me, whether I'm going out for 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months. Obviously, your kit is going to expand and contract the longer you're out or the shorter you're out, and the kind of travel that you're doing is going to determine what you actually need. But there are some basics that you should always have with you when you're out for multiple days on your adventure bike. There's a variety of different ways to carry your gear on your adventure motorcycle. You can have hard luggage or you can have soft luggage. In this case, on my Tenere 700, I've got soft luggage. This is really great for backcountry travel. It's lighter, it's dynamic. I can cinch it down if I have less stuff, and I can let it expand if I have more stuff with me. So when it comes to packing my kit, I always start with the sleeping side of things. And as I'm packing my luggage, I'm always trying to balance my weight from left side to right side. I don't want to put all of my heavy things in one pannier and then all of my light fluffy stuff in the other pannier, because that's going to make my bike feel off balance. So as I'm packing, I'm going to be working both sides of the motorcycle to make sure that my bags are even. Before I head out on a long trip, I will very often take my luggage off my bike once it's fully packed, weigh it, and make any minor adjustments. So if I'm running 30 pounds in one pannier, I'm also running 30 pounds in the other pannier. That way, it keeps my bike balanced and it gives me the upper hand, especially in more challenging off-road terrain. Let's start packing the bike, and I am going to start with my tent. When it comes to packing, a lot of people like to put things into stuff sacks and then put stuff sacks into bikes. I like to throw that concept out altogether, especially with a luggage system like this that's essentially a dry bag. So here's my tent, and like all tents, it has multiple pieces. I've got the ground tarp, I've got the body of the tent, and I've got the fly. Think about how you set your tent up, and you want to pack your tent in reverse. So I'm always going to put the fly into the bottom of the pannier first, followed by the tent. So when I get to camp, the tent itself comes out first, the fly comes out second, because that's how you put the tent together. It just makes it easier once you get to camp. I'm going to start by putting my tent in that back pannier. I'm going to put the fly in first, because that's the second piece I need once I get to camp. And then the tent body and the ground tarp, they go on top. Now, if you're not using stuff sacks to pre-stuff your tent and your sleeping bag, it's really important that you compress these soft things all the way down into the bottom of the pannier. You want to fill out any nooks and crannies so that you're not leaving empty space in your pannier that you could be packing. All right, that is packed down nicely right there. And tent poles for adventure motorcycling can be kind of annoying. They're typically too big for your standard size pannier, and so you want to find a good place in your luggage. Like, for example, this top case here has a pouch for your tent poles. Make sure that your tent poles stay someplace safe, and it's a really good idea to put them somewhere where if you do crash the bike, you're not going to trash them, because that might ruin your night's sleep because you won't be able to assemble your tent. I'll slide them right in here. I'll do the same thing with my sleeping bag that I did with my tent, and I'll stuff it all the way to the bottom of this pannier. Now, one of the considerations when you're packing your motorcycle is that we're getting the heavier stuff down low. I'm kind of contradicting myself by putting the tent and the sleeping bag down low, but it's also a great way to fill the bottom of your panniers before you pack other stuff on top. So keep that in mind. You don't want your bike to be any more top heavy than it already is, and so if you can load things like tools, cooking gear, any sort of heavier stuff that you're traveling with you down low in your panniers, you're going to be better off in the long run. For my sleeping, I carry a sleeping pad and a sleeping bag. I tend to bring a bag that's colder or rated for colder temperature than what I think I'll actually need. I can always leave it unzipped, I can always lay on top of it, but if you find yourself up in the mountains and all of a sudden the temperature drops really rapidly, you're going to be glad that you had a bag that's going to keep you warmer. Same deal. I'm just cramming this down into the bottom of the pannier, filling all the space. Very often when I'm traveling, I'm not just traveling for pleasure, I'm often traveling for work. And in that case, I travel with my computer as well. I don't have it here today, but if I do have a computer or good electronics or good cameras with me, those always ride in the top case. And when I have those, I will switch my sleeping bag location, and instead of packing it into a pannier, I will use it to help pad my computers and protect my electronics when they're up high. Motorcycles have a tendency to tip over. I mean, they only have 2 wheels after all. And so sometimes they hit the ground. And so you want to make sure that you're packing in a way that your stuff stays as safe as possible in the event of a tip over on a rocky road. Next up is my toolkit. Like I said, we want to get the weight on the motorcycle down low as possible. So I'm going to put my toolkit into one of these side pockets on the motorbike, either on the front side or on the back side. I've got 4 auxiliary pockets that I can use for things like tool, extra fuel, and water bottles that are really easy to grab and get at. It's always a bummer to have to do a repair on the side of the road, only to find that you've put your toolkit way down at the bottom of your pannier. You want to make this easy to get at so that you can grab it and fix things on the fly. All right. Next up is going to be my camp clothing. This is one of the times when I do use stuff sacks in my packing. So my change of socks, my clean t-shirts, my long underwear, things that I'm going to need while I'm out on the trail, I keep those in another small stuff sack so that I can grab them out easily when I'm diving into my tent at night. This stuff sack happens to be waterproof. It's not necessary because my panniers are waterproof, but sometimes if you're going from your bike to your tent and it happens to be raining out, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of extra water protection. Another time I use stuff sacks is for small things that might need organizing. So in here is where I would keep my GoPro, for example, for those cool helmet cam shots when I'm out on the trail, where I'd keep my phone charger and any other electronics. A little bag like this, it just kind of helps keep those little things organized and under control when you're out on the trail. Something like this I would always put into my top case so it's easy to get at if I need it in a pinch. Camp shoes are without a doubt wonderful to have on an adventure motorcycle trip. Whether you've been riding for an hour or for a week, it feels so good to take your boots off at the end of the day. I can't recommend enough just having a cheap pair of flip-flops or some sneakers if you'd like to get out and do some hiking while you're at camp, but something other than your giant motorcycle boots is awesome to have while you're out there. So bring a pair along. Also essential is your kitchen stuff. I don't know about you, but coffee, it starts my day every single day. So I really prioritize my coffee. I always bring an AeroPress with me, and I choose my camp kitchen as things that'll nest together in a really tidy fashion. So my AeroPress fits inside my coffee cup, and my coffee cup fits inside my little bowl. I always bring a fuel canister, sometimes 2, depending on where I'm traveling. My stove fits into this other little pot, along with other things like knife, fork, scissors, things that I might need while I'm fixing my food. All that nests into this little pot, lid goes on, and this stuff all gets stuffed into a little ditty bag for easy to grab once I'm at camp and ready to cook some food. I divide my kitchen into the tools that I'm using for cooking and the condiments, ingredients, and food that I'm cooking. I keep the 2 things separate because these are hard goods. They come with me everywhere. I don't need to replace them. The stuff in my other bag is more expendable. It's oils, it's soy sauce, of course it's hot sauce because you have to have that when you're camping, and any sort of spices or things that I might want while I'm out on the trail. I keep these separate in a separate little bag so that I can replace them and monitor them and know that I'm always going to have all the goodies that I want when I'm camping in this little bag, and I keep them fresh and ready to go. I'll pack these based on what side of my pannier needs more weight. Maybe I'd put some of the stuff on the left, some of the stuff on the right. And you can just balance those out. And you find that as you're traveling day after day, you'll refine your system. You'll know where to find your camp kitchen in a pinch. You'll know where to find your snack bag. You know exactly where your camp shoes are so you can get your boots off in a pinch as soon as you get to camp. One more thing that I put in the panniers is my rain gear. Rain gear, like your tools, is one of those things you don't often need it, but when you do need it, you need it fast. So make sure that you put your rain jacket and your rain pants someplace that's super accessible and easy to get at. You never know when you're going to ride into a storm, and you don't want this stuff buried down at the bottom of your pannier when you need it. In my tank bag, I keep a variety of smaller things that I'm gonna need on the fly. These are the things that I can grab as I'm riding, things that I need at the gas station, like my wallet. And I also, in this tank bag, have a hydration bladder, which is great for just staying hydrated while you're on the road. And in this tank bag, the hydration bladder is in the back. It also has a little rain fly that comes over the top of it, just in case things start getting rainy. And this is the place where I'll keep an extra knife. I'll keep my satellite communicator when it's not on my body. Always keep your paperwork for your motorcycle somewhere easily accessible, just in case you get pulled over or somebody needs to identify you for whatever reason. I keep my maps there, and I also find a place to hide a spare key for my motorcycle. Sometimes that goes in my tank bag, sometimes I'll zip tie a hidden key somewhere inside the bike, just in case I lose my main key. Super important. At the end of the day, how you pack your motorcycle is gonna be up to you. You're gonna tweak your system and tune your system based on your needs, and the more you do it, you're gonna find that you probably need less than you think you actually do. Don't be afraid to leave some things behind, do without a little bit, and realize how much less stuff you actually need. You do not need to bring the kitchen sink to go adventure motorcycling. Just bring a few things, bring some good food, bring a tent and a sleeping bag, and hit the road for as long as you want. If you want to learn more about adventure motorcycling, how to get out into the backcountry on 2 wheels or 4, Overland Expo is a great place to come learn. Our shows happen all over the country. There's tons of inspiring teachers, all kinds of great gear that you need, and there's an Overland Expo not too terribly far from you that would make a great motorcycle ride or overland trip in your vehicle. If you're at home and you want to learn more, overlandexpo.com has tons of resources for you. Everything from packing tips for adventure motorcycling to travel tips to get you into those furthest corners of the backcountry. You guys, thank you all so much, and I can't wait to see you all out on the dusty trail with your motorcycles well packed. Thanks so much for watching.